Welcome to the GCC podcast presented by Gateway, a space where we explore ideas, insights, and individuals shaping the future of global capability centers. We are thrilled to be joined today by Sridevi Hegde, Managing Director and BOD India GCC Head at Vervent, a leading fintech servicing company empowering innovation across lending, payments, and financial performance solutions. Today's guest is a powerhouse of transformation with over 2 decades of leadership across BFSI, IT, and consulting. As the managing director and India GCC head at Vervent, she is building a global capability center with purpose and precision. Her journey from finance to fintech, from COO to change maker, is led with impact, strategy, and soul. Along with this, she is deeply passionate about DEI and known for her sharp strategic acumen and people first leadership. Please welcome the dynamic, driven, and deeply inspiring Sri Devi to the podcast. Welcome here, Sri Devi. How does it feel to be here today?
Thank you, Suchita, for that wonderful introduction. Definitely, it's a wonderful platform, and thank you for having me here.
Okay, I love your background, and I can tell you the soul comes from the balance of tech and spirituality that you put together in your workspace. So let's dive into the conversation. We have 3 focus questions lined up for you today. I'll get started with the first one. Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay. So Vervent recently set up its India first GCC under your leadership. I remember talking to you at one of the events where you mentioned how you kickstarted the entire effort, right? So, what trends do you see driving global fintech firms to invest in capability centers? And how does Vervent's India Hub align with that vision of global transformation that's happening?
Wonderful question. Across fintech landscape or in any other landscape, right, or any other industry, capability centers are making real good dent, if I have to use that word, right? Because we have already evolved from cost cutting tools into engines of innovation, which helps with speed and truly doing that global impact. Let me list out some trends, okay, which I've seen in this particular industry.
Sure.
Definitely to start with, with no surprise, AI and automation. And why I say AI and automation, because it's just not AI, it is many various kinds of automation like RPA, machine learning, or many other things which are reshaping the financial services. Next, we are seeing beyond outsourcing. Earlier, traditionally they used to outsource, to bigger service organizations, which still continues for maybe the more repetitive works or more work which can be done by these service organizations, but they are more now into creating these capability centers where they can get flexibility, deeper ownership, and oversight, because you see all the functions will be under one umbrella, like in our own organizations, except sales, which is directly connected to revenue or marketing. Everything is under one roof. Okay, then definitely the skilled talent. It's not just talent, it's skilled talent. Why I say that? Simple example of Bengaluru only. We are the tech hub of the world, so definitely this is the right place to set up the GCC, because there is an urgent need. Even our organization also, you've known the story, right? How fast we scaled up. Why?
Yes.
Because we have access to that market, which understands both technology and domain. Then another optics to this is agility and accountability. In one of the studies, which titled as Future of Finance or FinTech 2024, it said that 80% of US fintech companies are improving their EBITDA margins year over year, and they're expected to stay at there because most of them are private equity backed up. Our organization, Vervent, is also private equity backed up. So definitely they will look for faster, maybe product generations or service models where, they can reach the markets or look behind what is going on in the customer journey and really adapt, so that they can provide that flexibility to adapt, and also in the other hand, they can give that accountability to the investors. Means we will meet the expectations of the investors. Then definitely the global influence, right? These centers are evolving, as strategic centers. So hence, I think how we could do, or as an example, my organization only here, to the larger, global organization footprint, or the strategy, how we are helping out is through setting up already COEs like fraud COE, tax COE, or digital COEs, which truly helping the current or this year or maybe next year's immediate strategic needs or goals, which again directly tied to the revenue and to the customer focus.
Thanks for sharing that, because I know fintech is such a hot space, and just setting up COEs that handle separate aspects of what goes under the finance umbrella itself gives you an edge. So that's a lot of good work happening at Vervent GCC in India. Moving on to my next question, which talks about the transformation, and you've led transformation and operations across IT, finance, and corporate functions, both in BFSI and consulting environments, right? So, what leadership principles has actually helped you successfully build functions from scratch while integrating strategy, people, and culture to bring about global oneness to your headquarters?
Absolutely. This is one of my favorite areas because I like disruptions, but it's a positive disruption. So I'm a person who always, goes and questions the status quo as a person, always. And that has worked, wonders for me. Yes, you're right. When building team for a location from a scratch or an organization like, a GCC hub from scratch, definitely the three pillars are strategy, people, and culture. And
Yes.
how they connect the dots, I'll just give you an example, because now it has become like a secret sauce or a recipe for me. If this is not working, I know what it could work in that way. Okay, simple to start with, right? The strategy, when I say strategy, you need to be really clear why this particular team, organization, or means a smaller organization or a hub is being built, right? And you need to be on same page with the sponsors of it. So that's very clear. So if my vision is clear, aligning to the leaders or the sponsors, I can definitely direct my team towards that goal. And making them aware of this vision is one of the important things. Third point is on the continuous learning part, right? You might say, oh, it's a new feat or a new area where you're going to build. But whatever your learnings, right, from your entire experience always comes into play. And you should not stop. Okay, I have experience, I can stop. That is the kind of experienced people who just not have their SME knowledge, but they are ready to make their hands dirty and keep learning what is required. Because in this AI era, if you really do not be up to date, do they think they can contribute or help their team members? Not really, right? So that is the kind of resources I look for. That's the kind of team members I look for. So that's a key when you build something. And what I keep telling, now coming to the people part, I know I already included people in that, but specifically what we need to do, anybody building a team or an organization should do is that lead by example. If I am a hands-on person as a leader or a MD, I expect my team members also. And that's what trickles down as a behavior, because they will also see it's not just about leading, it's about influencing right way by setting examples to their own team members, and it will go to the out of college person, means to that level of the organization.
Yeah.
And then empowerment, right? Empowerment now has a new language, like empowering through AI means enabling them to use AI and
Tools.
experiment. That's also is empowerment. It's not that, we are highly regulated, right? So you would say, oh, no, you can't do this. No, you can't record this. But find a way and get the sponsorship and ask them to, play along it. So that's a kind of empowerment. And that's what is required now. And have an open discussion, have an open forums, or create those forums for them to come and discuss, if not with the project managers, even with me. So I do that in my organization.
Yeah.
It's like an open door culture. Then
Yeah.
how will this tie together is definitely through right communication. That's what when I was alluding to, right? It's just
Yeah.
not only making the open door policy, it's about even being a good listener. So
Yeah.
I just do these sessions, with my teams, and that connects to the purpose of the vision which I'm trying to build through this team. Definitely what all this will relate to or connect the dots to is definitely the culture, how we are going to create it. Because again, being a GCC, you need to work with 6 different locations, means in my organization, right? So you need to have that culture of understanding, collaborating. And if you are doing that within the teams here, right, various teams, either engineering, data science, your finance team, the same thing you would do globally also. So that's very important. And last, but not least, is I always say, right, guys, you can fail. It's absolutely fine. But ensure you learn from it. And when they learn and success, we all celebrate, even the smallest thing. So these are the various things I've kept in mind since my beginning of career, because that helps me adapt to the all the circumstances and changes or evolving challenges, and help me to create more successful teams and organizations.
Thank you so much. This is really giving us the secret sauce. You spoke about your leadership style. You spoke about the importance of empowering, the importance of upskilling, learning, taking a step ahead, and you spoke about culture as well. So you've long been a visible advocate of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and you've mentored teams across geographies. How do you see leadership evolving, especially for women and underrepresented talent in the context of AI, hybrid work, and global collaboration?
Absolutely. Again, now DI is very close to me, but nowadays, Amma, I'm changing little context of it. It's just not DEI. It's more of a larger ecosystem of how cohesive atmosphere can be created for any kind of talent to prevail and then thrive. So in the DE context, right, the most recent way you would have heard that the different approaches or a divided approach between bigger MNCs, but for me, as I said, the larger optics is to understand the cultural responsiveness within our own organization to these DEI efforts.
Yes.
It could be smaller or bigger. How we respond and how we make it as a constant habit to ensure it supports the talent which needs to be groomed. I'll give you my personal example only. When I was a new mom 16 years before, then I did not get, maternity leave about 12 weeks, not even a single day. Okay. I really thought I wished I had got, but I think I took that as a challenge and I took 1 year break, groomed my kid and became, really independent so that he can, support me now, right? He's my biggest pillar. Where am I and what am I trying to do? Or even,
True.
striving at different, roles or again, I can go and even give back to the society. So here's the reason. So I don't, for women's right, I don't regret on what I have done as and taken a break. It's absolutely was needed. But think
Yes.
now, right, how government is, helping with policies, right? 6 months completely paid. And for 1 year, and even some of the organizations are giving 2 years in extended work from home at a
Yes.
maybe dial down basis, which is exactly what is amazing, in this new era, how we are looking the ways of working are changing, right?
Yeah.
Means the way we are doing the jobs. Next is, I think because of this GCC, right, we are seeing that, accessibility and collaboration are looking at our leaders working with various resources across the borders. So they
Mm.
understand and they become more mature and they
Yeah.
understand and they see the working styles of different people, right, and from different background. And so they become more mature, cohesive, working with them, and that shapes the leadership. Then I have to, talk about various impact by AI. I see, especially during the interviews, right? This is helping really some of the techniques to remove that bias of
Mhm.
rather we concentrate on data, the skill and talent of the resources.
Yes.
Need not to be, specifically talking about diversity, right? So this AI is helping to give us your right data to do the decision making. That's very key for us. Then it also helps us to, as a leaders, right, to develop right skills, right? Either from your underprivileged backgrounds or under economically, privileged backgrounds or diversity or having less experience, whatever, backgrounds, right? As you said, underrepresented, talents to help them really nurture them or train them, upskill them. These AI, tools are really helpful. Next, it
Yeah.
influences again, the awareness, being sensitive and inclusive communication or building that trust. So all this is supportive. In the era of this, how fast we are changing, how we are building like GCSEs in no time. But the center of it is always they say, right, talent. And in the beginning also I mentioned in my dialogue that it's talent, IT, and what is the ecosystem of startup. But in center of it, it is the leadership, which is enabling all this ecosystem to come together and nurture the whole of the system.
Okay.
Now, you need to sustain, and some of the leaders will pick up, some of the leaders will still be in the old school. What we can do as a women leader and myself, what I follow is I have a huge mentor circle
Mhm.
do outside of my organization also, because organization I can just do day in day out, right, during the course, during normal course of work. But I ensure to invest on times, okay, to take a step back and then go forward, because now the whole of the ecosystem is there to help you,
It's
right?
very
It's not the
supportive.
older
Yeah.
times. I believe we need to celebrate our as women's, right, what we are doing. So I encourage a lot of, women who are just there to take that extra plunge and take up the bigger roles, right? And once they do it, we, create kind of a, what I can close net groups or a smaller groups to celebrate that. Means how did they do and how did they take that extra plunge to take up that leadership role? And I have done mine many times, and I get along with other leaders and try to do that for the folks who are at a mid layer and all those things, right? And then you need to be advocates. Have you seen that advocacy circle or advocacy force is so strong between other gender? We need to be advocates, right? So that is one thing I keep doing. Okay. And as I said, now it's not about gender, right? But it's about the talent and it's about the equity mind approach we need to
Yes.
always create, because that creates trust, that creates safe zone, and it connects all the dots, what we need to do in the organization, and it gets you the diversity approach.
Vision. Yes. Yes.
Completely inclusivity, right? And for that, you should create training programs specifically to create that, with the global
Yeah,
teams, with the local
culture.
teams, right? Because you just need to understand beyond surface level influences. When I say beyond surface level influences, no, it's just not DEI, right? It's about the in-depth of influences, how the other cultures have been, and what is the ecosystem we need to create for our organization, for our juniors to scale up and see what they can contribute. So it's more about how we can create that system to thrive as in the future of work. So I think leadership is in this AI era is definitely more inclusive, data driven, adaptable, and thriving.
Yes, thank you. That's a good way of summing that up. So I move now to the more interesting and fun part of our podcast, which are 3 rapid fire questions. I would need very quick responses from you on these. So to start with, what's your superpower as a leader? What is that superpower you have as a leader?
I think it's about how I can connect with people. Anybody, on the day one or anybody talks to me, they just get connected. And my superpower is keep the genuine and empathy. So it's empathy plus connect.
I think I will
Genuinity.
totally endorse it. I will endorse it because when I met you for the first time, I felt a connect and then we met the second and third time. So I'll endorse that one. The second question on this is what is your power outfit? Is it a sari or is it a blazer or something more comfortable and bold? I've seen you wearing both at events. So I'm asking you this question, which is the power outfit?
This question, okay, to many of the folks, I would have asked you also next time, what do you find it better? I've got 50-50 response, okay, but I think it's
Yeah.
about in the outfit which I feel confident, and that outfit should be made for me. That's me, and I should feel comfortable when I look myself, right? But definitely I think the power outfit for me now, nowadays is definitely sari.
I've seen, yeah, and you carry that very beautifully. So good. Last one here. What's your style? Is it texting or just calling and speaking to someone? I mean, if you want to do something, would it be texting or calling?
Call. I just pick up the call and do. As I said, for my first point, right? How would you connect? Either through
Yes.
voice or in person, right? It is always that. And what will happen is it becomes stronger and it will follow up with right, path
Yes.
going forward.
It's very spontaneous, it's quick, yes, and it's very action oriented. So thank you. So that brings us to the close of this insightful episode. A heartfelt thank you to Sridevi for sharing her journey and perspectives on building future ready GCCs, driving meaningful transformation, and championing inclusive leadership. We loved all that you shared. So, if this conversation resonated with you, we encourage you to follow the Gateway podcast for more deep dives with leaders who are shaping what's next. Until then, keep leading with purpose and stay future focused. Thank you very much.